Welcome to Soul Rising. We're your hosts, Amy and Erin. We're two everyday mediums who are passionate about taking the woo-woo out of spirituality and bringing it down to earth. So put the kettle on, grab a chair, and join us.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Welcome to episode 33 of Soul Rising.
Welcome. Amy and I were just talking before that we both feel kind of giddy and wacky and I feel energized today for some reason. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. And it's cool because for the last week or so, I've not been energized. I've been hauling my behind, forcing myself to do things because I've had no drive at all over the week.
It's so interesting too. I didn't even and we're going to be talking about this today, but I didn't even link it that it's the new moon. Is that tonight? Yeah, tonight. Okay, so I'm wondering if that has to do with it. And then leading up until today, I'm for the past, I would say, day or two, I've been okay, I have to do this and this and this. I've been a little bit more organized, but it's been hard to kind of put that effort in. I've still been tired. But then it's this morning I got up, I put all of my to-do list in my calendar for to alert me and so that I remembered and stuff. So I was feeling really on top of things today.
Yeah. The energy has shifted today, which is really interesting and very welcome.
Yeah.
Because I the last month has been there hasn't been anything personally in my own life, in my own family happening that would make me feel this way. I just think it's collective energy and the things that have been happening politically and in the news.
Oh my God.
Just all of that has really added to this overwhelm. In fact, the other day I felt called. I think it was on the weekend, actually. It might have been. Yeah, I think it was the weekend. I felt called to make some stories and a reel about anger and rage because it's been showing up in my life over things that really shouldn't. The other day, I sat down on my Sunday morning and I was okay, I'm just gonna pump this out. I got some stuff done and then I decided I was gonna write a blog about soulmates. Okay. And so I sat down and it flowed out like magic, almost 1,000 words. And then I was okay, save.
Yeah.
And it didn't save and it disappeared and it could not come back and it was gone. And I was I felt this bubble of
rage
come up from my stomach and I was oh my God, I'm so mad. And then I thought to myself, why am I this mad though? Why do I feel this much tension? I know, yeah, that was annoying. That was shitty. Right. But why do I feel this?
This
right?
mad.
And so I decided to kind of practice what I preach and, be proactive. So I said, how can I transmute this rage into something productive? A really good thing I should have done is to rage clean, because I certainly need to do something around here. But I didn't.
I do that when
I went grocery shopping.
That's even better. Great.
It needed to happen. And I actually don't like grocery shopping very much because I get overwhelmed with I don't know, you guys might feel this way too. I get overwhelmed. I'm what ingredients do I want and what do I want to make? And I get too overwhelmed with it.
You're starting to think about dinner.
Know what I'm going to want to eat next Friday. I don't know, right? Because I'm just kind of a spontaneous.
Yeah.
So it makes me feel overwhelmed, but I was I'm just going to go to the grocery store. I'm going to get this chore done. And it totally transmuted the energy. I took it and I did something productive with it. And then I felt calm. And then actually that calmness gave me the insight. I kind of heard intuitively, hey, what's happening in the collective right now? People are angry. People are ragey. Okay. And you're feeling it. And so it's heightening your experience of inconveniences and just things that are ticking you off.
Yeah.
And so I talked about it and probably 30 people messaged me within 2 hours and said, oh my God, I am so ragey. Outside of what's happening, I'm just mad.
I'm just mad. Yeah.
And I was oh, there's something here.
There's something to this.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's why today's topic I feel is a good one. Erin brought it to the table this morning. We're going to talk about the moon. We're going to talk about the new moon because today we're recording on the 28th of June and it is the new moon in Cancer. So the moon can certainly affect us energetically, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, even like as you're talking and as we're just sort of talking about, what do we do with like our feelings and stuff. And I know I've been feeling ragey. And part of my thing is I like to cook. So if I'm like feeling my feels, I'm like, I'm just going to cook. And then that I
Because
tend to
you're channeling it
calm.
into something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
really important just to like bring that to awareness. I think most of us like kind of will do that like without even realizing what we're doing. But like if you feel like you're getting kind of stuck in your anger or your worry, like a really good thing to do is just to consciously, intentionally choose to do something else. Like, okay, I'm gonna go cook, or I'm gonna go grocery shopping, or I'm gonna go for a drive, or like whatever it is that like changes.
Yeah.
It gets you out of that.
It gets you out of that headspace and you're
Yes.
able to then, I feel like, take a step back and
Yes.
then reflect with a new
You get the
perspective.
perspective. Yeah. Because you're
Yeah.
not going to get that perspective from that heightened emotion, right? Like
And
when
that's so, I love that we're talking about this because I literally just mentioned that in a reading the other day.
Mhm.
Da-ding, da-ding, da-ding. I
Yeah.
don't know what that is, but da-ding, da-ding, yay, all the light bulbs are going off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's coming up a lot from me personally, and like the people I serve, and like family and friends.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah. Part of my anger was like, I was upset with Alex over really something really stupid.
yeah,
And that's when I decided to cook. And then I was like, okay, just hold on a second. Like, it's not a big deal.
this big a deal. Yeah. But
Yeah.
like that, the reaction was heightened in
It was
someone.
heightened.
Yeah.
I do think it's because we're empaths. I think, we pick up on energy really easily. Like, we do the work that we do, we put a lot of energy right into it.
Yeah.
We're picking up on other people's emotions and feelings, and I feel like, you know, I do my best to try and like separate it, but I'm not gonna lie. Some days,
It's both ways.
yeah, exactly. Some days I'm just feeling it a little bit extra, or I know I need to like take extra care of myself, because of maybe I'm really picking up on that the energy that day. I don't know whether it's the moon, whether it's, I don't know, the time of day, or what's going on with myself as well. I think a lot of things could impact the way that we feel energy and the way that we, yeah.
And I think that most of our listeners will relate to that because they're
Mhm.
probably also, many of them will also feel, like empaths or energy sensitive people.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to like talk about these things and normalize them, because yeah, there's just this power in somebody going, yeah, this is how I'm feeling. And I'm feeling like being honest. Like, I am
Yeah.
ragey. I just lost this document and I am really mad about it. Right.
Yeah.
And then everybody going, oh my God, I'm really mad about everything too. Right. It just feels like, oh, okay, you too.
Yeah.
Feels
It's
like
nice to know that we're not alone,
you're not
right? There's
alone. Yeah.
confirmation in that of like, okay,
Yeah.
this is, my feelings are valid. And I think that's, yeah.
Yes. We all want to be validated.
Yeah.
So listeners, if you are feeling, because this is going to go live in just a few days, if you are feeling a little bit ragey or angry or being triggered by things that maybe in the
Mhm.
grand scheme of things aren't like super big deal, but for whatever reason they feel like a big deal to you right now, just know you're not alone. I really truly feel like you're just picking up on the energy, the kind of we're at like really pivotal moments, I feel,
Yeah.
history and society, and it feels very uncertain, and it's like shaky ground, and I know, and it's stirring up anxiety and anger and rage. Just
Mhm.
know that that's okay. Like it's something that I feel like I want to talk about in this moment, if it's okay, is like
Please.
spiritually bypassing ourselves.
Mm.
And I've noticed for the most part, like the spiritual community, online, the people that I follow and things, for the most part, um a lot of people will talk about they're like normalizing it or encouraging us to feel our feels, even the lower frequency runs, right? Like even the
Yeah.
anger.
Yeah.
But there are some people that are still, the spiritual bypassing people, like, oh no, like this is a lower frequency than you. Like, don't go there. Like, we're up here, love and light. We need to be the role models for everybody. You can't get up here without doing this. You
Yeah.
just can't. You
That's
just
where the
can't.
learning happens.
That's why we're here on earth.
That's
I'm
why we're
telling you,
here.
The people that are telling you that they're always up here in love and light and they never feel any lower frequency vibes are lying to you, because they wouldn't be on earth right now. They would be in spirit.
They would be robots.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes. Yeah. No, seriously. It's something to be really mindful of, because, you know, our kind of mission statement is to normalize this, and you can't normalize it if you're promoting.
Yeah.
You shouldn't feel angry, because it's not enlightened to feel angry.
Yeah. And I always too, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it, because I literally also was, this also came up in my reading. And I think like we've talked about this as well, but that, you know, as we were saying that, you know, feel your feels, like it's not, and when we talk about, you know, when we're in a really, you know, when we're in a positive mindset, like we can attract like that, you know, like attracts like, we're attracting those things.
Yep.
But it's not to say you can't be angry, you can't be upset, you can't be frustrated. Because again, like you just said, Amy, like you can't be there without feeling that anger and frustration. You have to get through it. If you just put it to the side and sweep it under the rug, it's going to come out in other ways that are not healthy.
Can't escape it.
You can't escape it, right? So I always feel like, you know, and let me know what you think, because I always say to people, welcome those thoughts, welcome those feelings, but don't, you know, I always say, you know, try not to sit with it too long. But like move through that anger, move through it rather than against it.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're never going to be so like spiritually evolved in this lifetime that all the worries, the problems, the stress, the anger is ever going to go away. Like,
no,
you'll be like, okay, finally I've leveled up, I've grown. Yeah, you have. Right. But you're also, you have to think about yourself. If your body is this vehicle for energy, right, and you're here to like transmute it, because we all do that, whether or not we're mediums or not.
Yeah.
Right. We all are literally transmuting energy, integrating energy for the collective. Like that's really what I feel like the physical body is all about. Mm-hmm. And that's a vehicle for the spirit, for spirit to do what it needs to do. Like, how do you do that without, like, I just don't understand. It just doesn't make any sense how you do that without feeling the feels. So you're always going to revisit those feelings. There's always going to be something that triggers, that challenges you.
Yeah.
And the whole purpose is just like, when we get those feelings, sometimes we might think, okay, like I'm moving backwards. Like, why am I feeling this way? I'm moving backwards. You're not. It's just another layer of growth. It's just something else, deep conditioning coming out. You know what this reminds me of is something that came up last week. I think I made a reel about it. I don't know. I think so. About no, maybe it was a carousel post. Like it was a post.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
About how, and it was coming through from me to spirit, like collectively and in readings, about how like we'll feel like we need to make a change, right? We'll feel like we need to do something. And so eventually we make the big, brave decision. We do the thing. Because we think like, okay, so when I release this old energy and I make this big, brave choice, I'm going to feel immediate relief. And something that I've learned, but spirit has been teaching me as well in like real life right now, is that, yeah, great, you've made the big choice, like that, that is a level up, but the relief is not always going to be instantaneous, because you're still releasing the old energy and you need time to physically like integrate the new energy in. That's a process. So you might not feel like you do something new and then you're like, oh, I thought I was supposed to feel happier. I'm not any happier. Oh no, I made the wrong decision. And what spirit's been teaching me is when we do that, then we stall the acceleration. The jump into the new thing, congratulate yourself for making a different choice, but don't expect instantaneous relief or release. The stored stuff, you actually might even feel a little bit worse. Okay, I think this is like real life here. I think people need to hear this, because as you're releasing that old energy of all that, whatever kept you in that situation in the first place that made you unhappy, you have to physically release it, which might be uncomfortable, right? That's where all this like the self-doubt and all these things come through. So you might actually, and the universe also might challenge you a little bit. I'm sure you've had these things come in, right? Where you release something and
like
then
right now,
right? Like you like go, okay, I'm gonna like, I'm making the decision. I'm gonna hand in my notice. And then you sit down to your boss ready to give your notice and he goes, so I'd like to promote you. That's the universe challenging your decision.
Yeah.
Are you ready to walk the walk, right? Yeah. I really feel like, so pay attention to those things. Be mindful that you might not immediately feel the relief. It doesn't mean that you didn't make the right choice. It doesn't mean that you're not going to feel it. Just gotta get used to the new energy.
Yeah. And I love that you I feel like it definitely needs to be said, and I love that you said it. And
Spirit's like, say it, Amy, say it.
Yeah, preach.
I'm preaching. Yeah.
Okay, I did. We're always happy. Sometimes that's how I feel with my guides. So they're like giving me these pushes. Like, I did it. Are you happy?
Yeah. Yep. Oh, so yeah, that's the energy as of lately.
Yeah.
And now, today we're talking about moons.
And
today, June 28th. So we looked it up, 10:53 p.m. Eastern time tonight.
Yeah.
Is the new moon in Cancer. So we can feel like the effects of the moon a few days before, a few days after. So yeah.
We were talking about that, right? About different like the moon phases and what it means, and different like religions. I only say that because I was telling Amy that talking about moons made me think of this book that I have that I'm sorry to the author who has, I think she's passed. So I'm sorry, Doreen and Spirit, but I haven't finished it. Okay. But it's supposed to be so far it's been really good. A good book. It's called Witchcraft for Tomorrow by Doreen Valiant. I purchased this because I myself was interested in learning more about witchcraft, and apparently she is really good for beginners or people who are interested in the subject but don't know a lot about it. And she actually talks, like, according to paganism, in people who practice witchcraft, how they use the moons and how they view the moons. And I thought it was really interesting how it's broken down here. So, and we can talk about it a little bit more because Amy, I know you have some other stuff too that you wanted to touch on as well from another author, I think, or from your moon.
From the deck?
From the moon deck. Yeah. Sorry.
That's okay.
So she was saying that, so the new moon, which is happening tonight, which has already happened by the time you're listening to this episode, is all about new beginnings.
Feeling the effects of.
But you exactly.
Yeah.
Is about new beginnings and creating new beginnings.
Yep.
And then as we go out of the new moon, we're going into waxing crescent phases, right? So the waxing moon phase, which is all about, according to Doreen, and her book here, all about time for construction and invoking. So this is the time of, even after the new moon, it's not like, and I like it too, because sometimes when I see things like that, I think, oh, I missed my chance for, I missed the new moon. I didn't do my vision board, or I didn't have time to like write my intentions down. There's still time, right? According to this. So the waxing crescent moon's all about invoking construction. Amy and I talked about, this is the time of like, if you want to do a vision board, do a vision board, maybe put something visual out for yourself. Like, I'm a very visual person, so doing a vision board or even like writing it down on paper helps me. I've even in the past, I don't know if you've ever done this, Amy, but I've written out my intentions, and then I like planted them in my pots, like my plant pots.
I've never done that, but I love that idea. I'm gonna do that tonight.
It's cool, and I like to. I like to do it outside too, because then I'm like, oh, then the moon is like charging it, or it's there. So, I found that idea, I think, on some website that I felt this speaks to me, so I'm going to do that. And then the waxing moon is construction, invoking, and then we're going to go into the full moon, So I don't know if you wanted to pause a little bit and talk about the full moon, but we're going to go into the full moon July 13th, which is about integration and perfecting. And we had talked about that as the time of like tying up loose ends. If there's anything else that you want to bring through for the rest of the month, now's the time to do it. Go within. That felt like that. And then she also is talking about the new moon as well as a very a good time of like our psychic senses are heightened.
The new or the full?
The full moon.
Oh, full. Yeah.
The full moon or psychic senses.
And we were talking earlier, like off air, about how traditionally you think I as soon as I hear full moon, I always think of that song "Full Moon Rising" by CCR. You know, like it has this kind of mystical, like kind of energy about it. And you know, people will say that the hospitals are a little bit busier, a bit more babies are being born. Kids might be acting up from the full moon.
I was just gonna say, like, I always joke with my coworkers of like, oh, it must be a full moon today because we're not listening.
Well, that's so mainstream. Like, I think most of us would know what that means, but do we actually know what it means? Like, what is the full moon? So what did you say about the full moon? Is a time where things are kind of wrapping up or concluding?
Integration and perfection. So yeah, like about I always felt like the full moon was a time to go within, and it's a time of like tying up loose ends. So if there's anything that maybe you still want to achieve for yourself, or anything else that you want to kind of put out there to the universe or manifest, like now's the time to do that, put that out there.
And it sounds like, because you're saying our intuition, our psychic senses could be heightened, that perhaps, you know, we might be kind of intuitively picking up on things or getting clarity from things.
Yeah.
Right? And perhaps like something that's coming into me right now that maybe there's something to it, you know, like, because I've shared many times that before I kind of like put the pieces together and learned to work with energy and learned that I was a medium and, you know, all these things, like now I feel like I could have a somewhat okay handle on energy. So if I'm starting to feel like overwhelmed on energy, it's like there's an awareness, so I can kind of catch myself a little bit. But before I had the awareness, you know, energy to me felt in my body like anxiety, right? So it would make me feel overwhelmed. And so I'm wondering if there's a correlation. You know, if you think about full moons traditionally, when people are kind of like acting quote unquote crazy, right? Or like,
oh, interesting.
You know, right? Like, what if that is because their intuition, their psychic senses are very heightened and it feels overwhelming or like anxiety to them? That's food for thought.
I think I don't know about our listeners, but that definitely, as you're speaking, I'm like, that resonates with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like a mini dark night of the soul for like one
Woo!
night, one night a month, right? Where people are like, I don't know what's going on with me, but like, I just feel like.
Or you're picking up, it's like that.
Yeah.
It's like, remember when we were doing the reading with Nikki and we were talking about, do you feel the buildup of energy?
I feel it.
Yeah. So I'm like, is this
build up
as we go out, you know, from the new moon into this phase to the full moon, right? Is this the buildup? Is this the workup?
I bet it is the buildup. Yeah. And it can probably feel very overwhelmed and like heighten things for us. But I think like knowledge is power, right? So perhaps just hearing this help somebody, you know, when you maybe if you are feeling kind of overwhelmed or feeling all that full moon energy, you could like, I don't know, kind of think about, you know, like, what is this trying to tell me? Like, what is this discomfort or this overwhelm? Like, what is
what is this?
Like, what is this for? Yeah.
What is this teaching me?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to do that from now on. I think, I'll be like intentionally around the full moon. Let's do that. And like, we're in a month.
We definitely should.
Like,
and yeah, I love this conversation too, because it also, I just feel like so many light bulbs are going off for it, because as we go out of the full moon into the waxing. This is the waxing.
Waning full moon.
Waning.
Yeah, we don't know.
We're not experts, guys. Don't add us. Waning or waning moon is the time of like deconstruction, according to Doreen Valentine, about like deconstruction and banishing. So I'm wondering is like, as these, we are feeling all these energies, here's the full moon, here it is, what works for you, what doesn't. And you can kind of see everything is like, it almost is like all this stuff, that energy is building all of these things up and bringing them to the surface for you. It's like the universe is putting them on a platter, and it's like, what do you want to keep? What do you want to get rid of?
Absolutely.
Because now's the time to like do that self-reflection and get rid of that crap, for lack of a better word.
It's interesting too, because this guidebook, the Moonology Manifestation, so she says about that, when a mini crisis might prompt more release work.
Mm.
So that's interesting, because I think you just talked about releasing,
Yeah, releasing.
right? Like, so you might feel there might be some obstacles, some challenges, some triggers coming in, but it's prompting you to release. So I think that's a cool point too. Yeah,
I love that.
I love it too. But yeah, tonight is the new moon. So what is the moon all about? I feel like the new moon has it's a brand new cycle, right? Like it's starting over again.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is a time of setting our intentions. So I'm going to do the like planting my paper intentions in a pot like Erin did. I'm going to do that tonight. You guys
can still do it. You can still do it.
Yeah, even if you hear this a week later, it doesn't matter, because the next phase, right, when we're in the waxing crescent, is all about creation, action.
Oh, I love this.
Right?
Yeah.
So we can still do it. I love it too, but it's also a time of manifesting, like because that's intention, right? Like what is it that we want to bring in this month? Now, something that I wanted to make a point of is this new moon that's happening right now, the 28th of June, and that you might feel for the next few days, is in the sign of Cancer. So this really brings forward a focus on emotional stability. It feels like intense emotions is something that I found online, and I was like, well, there's that anger and rage too, right? It's intense. It feels intense. It feels a bit draining. It can also go the other way, like Erin and I today, where we're like, like up here, right? But there's still an intensity to the energy. We're like kind of not here. We're like up here, or we're down here. So yeah, it's a lot to do. I made a reel earlier about this, and what I channeled about the new moon in Cancer was how can we better take care of ourselves this month? How are we overdoing it right now? In what areas of your life do you feel that you're overdoing it? Because that's something that needs attention today, because Cancer is all about like rest. Nurture. We need to nurture ourselves in this new cycle. So just kind of, because the new moon is in Cancer, it just feels like that might be a focus for us. So that might be part of the intention, right? Or the focus. One of the things you could focus on is what can I release that I'm overdoing? Like, what can I take off of my plate?
Yes.
What is no longer serving me?
What's no longer,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Awesome. I love that planting paper. I'm so gonna do it. It's such a cute idea.
Well, as you were talking to Amy, I just was like thinking of all of these things that I've done in the past, that I'm like, I need to do that again. But when I did this thing, and I feel like it was definitely after the full moon, because at the time I was like, this is what I'm gonna put like my intentions out and stuff during the full moon. And then afterwards I just found myself like purging, like getting rid of things. And I found something like from an old flame. I found this like note, and I was like, you know what? I'm purging. I'm getting rid of stuff. So I'm gonna burn this. And I did. I burned it in a very not oven, but in a pan on the oven. Very fire safe. And I burned it, and I like kind of let the ashes go, and as like a way to like release. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna release this. I'm no longer this, also not even just like that person, but like was that action felt like it was more of like everything that had happened. It was like me doing that was this setting this intention of like releasing things.
I think that's a good point too, because as we were talking about that, and about, planting the paper intentions, I was thinking to myself, in the past, like I don't really do too many like ritualistic things around the moon. And you don't have to, is what I'm trying to
No,
say. This has to
no.
do with intention, with Erin just said.
Yeah, yeah.
If you want to, you can do these actual like physical things
Mm-hmm.
to help set your intention if you want to, but you can also just think it.
Yeah,
Just think it, you can write it down. So
exactly.
sometimes we get kind of like, well, this is the whole like making things more mainstream or like understandable, right? Like because I know in the past I'm like, am I not manifesting if I'm not doing this? Like
Yeah.
if I'm not putting moon water out and then using it to water my plants, am I doing something wrong?
Yeah,
right?
or am I not clearing my crystals if I don't put them out right on the new
Yes.
moon?
Right, all these things, you don't have to do them
No, honestly, it's really like I do it. I did it,
because
and
you
it's
want
just a
to.
suggestion. I did it because I want to. I'm a visual person. I
Yeah.
like to see things. I also have this like witchy side to me, so there was that I really loved about it. I felt like a magical goddess.
Yes. Yeah.
And so
I get that. Yeah.
it's in that thinking. I was like, I'm a powerful, badass woman.
Yes.
And there's that energy.
Energy and the intention. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And I love that. And I think a lot of our listeners probably will love that too. And maybe also into doing those things, right? But I just want to put it out there. You're not
have to
manifesting or setting your intentions any differently if you don't do it. It's really how the energy of you, right? Like if you're fired up and you're like, I'm just gonna write it down, like great,
do it. Do it. Yeah. But don't worry, because I even was thinking that, like I had a moment previously where I thought, like I was just saying, oh no, I missed the full moon. I can't put my intentions out. But I really don't think it matters. Like we're talking about moon phases. I don't think it totally matters, to be honest with you. Right. But again, I agree with you that I think like the intention or the act of like thinking this is, this right now is my manifestation time. If that works for you, great, because it likely is that manifestation time for you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I was just thinking like we're going to get ready to pull our weekly card, but I was just thinking about a reading I did last week, and because we were talking about visualization, right? And I'm a visual person, and sometimes like if I'm connecting with somebody and something very visual comes through as like a suggestion, an exercise for them to do it more than often also means that they're visual, but something that's coming through about like, how do I release these old parts of myself, this old story that's still like in there, even though I've done so much work, it's still in there. And so what came through was like literally visualizing this person, like herself from 5 years ago, because 5 years had been like a pivotal moment, right, where the change happened. And I said, okay, so what Spirit's showing me is you, an image of you from that period, right? So we could this inner child, this can be from 20, this can be from 2 years ago, whatever it is. You visualize it, and it was literally like as if she was roaring, and the like the ghost of that of her from the past was literally coming out of her mouth. And there was like kind of a visceral reaction, it was like, oh my God, right? Like I feel that
is giving me goosebumps.
Yeah. It's just the visual, the intent. And when you think about how spirit works, like spirits, but they're visual, like that's what they're giving us, right? Like that's how spirit works. So I think visualization, I think using your imagination, I think dreaming, daydreaming, all of these things are magic. And I think we're supposed to do that. Like I often, when people ask me about manifestation, I always say, the second part to it, other than this is good. This is a good segue since we're talking about new moons. Maybe a good way to end. Manifestation. Since
I can't speak, you can't speak.
I can't speak. Maybe since this is what the new moon is all about.
Yeah.
To me, manifestation is, okay, I'm clear. I have clarity on what it is that I want, right? It doesn't have to be a thing. It could be a feeling.
No.
Right? Like I want to feel this way.
It doesn't need to be a goal. It doesn't need to be like, I want this by this, it's
no.
Yeah.
So for me, I often, once I did like a meditation in a group, and it was about like our future selves, and my future self came through. I was an older woman. I had long gray hair, just like I want to be. And I was sitting in like an Adirondack chair in my backyard, and I could hear the ocean behind me. It makes me want to cry every time I say it. I don't know why it hits me. And I had a yellow lab beside me, and I was throwing a ball to it, and there was a fire pit, and I was like wrapped up in a little like plaid thing. And I was like, this is freedom and joy. Like my future self feels like freedom.
Freedom. Wow.
Yeah, it makes me want to cry. I don't know what it is. I don't know why that makes me want to cry, but every time I think about it or talk about it, I get teary. And so I go there. So my intention, more often than not, is always, I want to feel freedom and joy.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, I love that.
And so it's just like getting clear, setting your intent. And then the second piece for me of manifesting is like embodying it, like imagining, daydreaming. How does it feel? Like feeling as if it's already here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think the best way to do that, for me at least, is to daydream, right?
Yeah.
Like close my eyes and like I'm seeing this picture. I hear the
or...
water. I see the dogs barking. I'm throwing the ball. Like I visualize all that. And you know, the mind-body connection is unreal.
Yeah.
Right? Like I could go through the steps of me peeling an orange and like taking it out and squeeze, and your mouth would start to salivate after a while, right? Because it's so connected. So if you think about that, what you're visualizing, what you're feeling, like your body doesn't know what's happening. It doesn't know it's not happening.
No.
So the energy changes, and that's like when you talk about attracting, right? You're putting that out there. Right. And then we take the steps towards what we want in some way. So every day I'm like, how can I feel more freedom and joy in my life? What are the steps that I do now so that can be with me? I'm the little worker bee right now, right? Because I want that in 20 years.
Yes.
And that's what keeps me.
That's what keeps you going.
Like motivated every single day. Yeah, because I'm like, that woman works when she wants to. She doesn't worry about anything. Her family, everybody's good. Her health is good. She's got her dog that she's wanted her whole life. She lives by the ocean.
Yeah,
she is
feel that
free, right? Free from
free.
Like I need to be different in my body.
Wow.
Right, like free from everything. And so that's what I work towards every day. But that's an example of like manifestation. It can be something short term. This month I want to manifest this.
Yeah.
Or long term. Would you agree? Is that how you kind of feel about manifestation?
Oh yeah, for sure. And I would also say, because I know there are people out there who are like, I can't like visualize. Like there are people who are like, I can't do that. Like it's just their brains don't work like that. So I mean, I would write it down, whatever you want to do, you know. Whatever. Manifestation doesn't have to be you sitting in a field with I don't know why, flowers in your hair, or and under the full moon dancing naked, like whatever it looks like to you, right? Which is time and time again, which is what Amy and I say all the time. Do what works for you, because ultimately that energy that you're putting out there is going to attract that.
Yeah.
Right.
Like there is no one way to be spiritual.
No, there's no how-to book.
No, there's not. And I read a lot, right? Like I'm looking for it.
Amy reads a lot more spiritual book. Like she's got a big collection.
But it's there's not anybody that can ever tell you how to be on your spiritual journey. Somebody like us can maybe give you guidelines, some steps, some new perspectives to help you tap into that. But even people that are not actively like embracing or like working with their spirituality are still on a spiritual journey. Like that's what life is about. So regardless of if you work with it or you don't, you're still a spiritual being doing life, right? So everything's spiritual.
But I love what you said, Amy, about like, what do you want your future self to feel? What does your future self embody? And I love that. And I also, like, as you were talking really quickly before we pick our cards, I have to say that like I've always envisioned my future self as like in line with my higher self. Like when I was met, like I still meditate for my readings, but I used to help myself really like kind of get in the zone. I would envision my higher self.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, it just came to me. And my higher self, also similarly to you, has long gray hair.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, I am in a greenhouse picking herbs.
Oh, is it your future or greenhouse?
I guess so. I've never considered myself somebody to be to have a green thumb, right? But maybe we'll have a greenhouse.
Maybe. Yeah.
Anyways, for some reason, that's so my future self is like in nature and is this also, I would say, maybe free woman who is
Liberated.
liberated, gardening, like I
Rose
don't know.
energy.
Yeah, picking herbs for some reason. Yeah.
You know what I was hearing as you were talking about the greenhouse, and you're like, I've never really thought about that, but maybe I was here, and I don't know if this is one of those things that, you know, we all have certain like guideposts or like things that we really strive to be and to embody. And what I was hearing as you were saying this was self-sufficient. And I don't know if that hits or lands for you at all, but like somebody that like just can take care of herself. Like the world could be rocking and Erin's
I'm in my greenhouse. Yeah.
Take care of herself, you know? Like
absolutely. Yeah. That 1000% does.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, I love it. Okay. Card for this week. Woo.
Well, it is Pride Month. I mean, it's always Pride Month, but I'm doing the Star Spinner Tarot, which is an LGBT Q plus.
New one? Is that new?
No, I just haven't. There's some desks. It's beautiful. I love the images. Actually, the Devil card in this deck is my favorite.
Yeah. I have to take a look online, but I am doing I'm doing a no by July, people. I'll just put it out there in case you
don't send Amy recommendations.
Don't send me suggestions for books and guidebooks. So it's really funny. I'll just share this really quickly while Erin is shuffling. So one day last week, I want to say like Wednesday of last week, I was kind of feeling this thing come like intuitively. I was like, I think I'm going to try to spend like no money in July on anything that's not a necessity. So right. So yes, we'll pay our bills, gas, groceries. If somebody needs medicine or hygiene products, yes, we will buy those things. Yeah. But I was kind of feeling like, I think I'm going to do something maybe like no by July. Okay. Like literally those words came into my head. And I told a couple of people, I told my husband, and then Saturday morning, I'm scrolling through Instagram and somebody on my Instagram stories was talking about this movement that just started on Friday on TikTok called No by July, like hashtag No by July.
I didn't know it was a thing.
It's a thing.
Oh,
and it's women. Okay. Cause women, right? It's women.
Yeah.
We are major contributors to the economy. Like think about the beauty business, the hygiene business, the clothing, fashion, like not even that, but also like buying for our homes, for our families, like more often than not, it falls on a woman, right? And so as a way to kind of make a statement politically, environmentally, or maybe you don't care about making a statement at all and you just or like to put some more money back into your own pocketbook. Yeah. Women are taking part in this No by July thing as kind of like sticking it to the man. So
okay, well, I
thought it was so cool that I intuitively literally heard the same words and intuitively was feeling like July is the month that I don't do that I don't buy without any context. Like I didn't have that context. But then when I heard that context, I'm like, oh, now I'm even more motivated. Right. I just wanted to put that out there in case anybody wants to join me.
Yeah, I'm joined. I also heard, and maybe people who are listening and maybe you've heard about it, can verify it. But I also heard that July 3rd to 5th,
the gas thing,
women are not doing anything. We're going on strike.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, we're not going to work. We're not buying. We're at home. Yeah.
I didn't hear that. I thought you were going to say, I saw something coming up with those same dates for the 3rd and the 5th about not buying gas.
I mean, it probably falls on mine. Like we're not
an uprising from the 3rd to the 5th. What is that? Waxing crescent. Okay. That's that action.
Yeah, that is that action, isn't it? Yeah.
That's that action time. So yeah, whatever you got to do. If you feel like an advocate,
I don't know if I think it's a thing in the States, and I feel like people are trying to make it like there's going to be people in other areas. They also did it. I did not know this, but in the 70s, was it in Iceland? Women stopped. They just stopped. They went on strike. And so they didn't go to work. Yeah, everybody. And
Like,
it really turned heads.
oh, I bet.
Yeah.
Imagine. Yeah.
Well, because, you know,
What was that in protest too? Like, why did they do that? Do you know? Sorry
I
to put
don't,
you
it was,
on
I
the
think it was, I have to look it up. I have to look it up.
spot. Yeah, 'cause I'm curious, like, what made them do that? Good on them.
I didn't know that. Iceland, is it Iceland? I also, yeah, Iceland strike 1975.
Right.
For the day to demonstrate the indispensable work of women for Iceland's economy and society, to protest wage discrepancy and unfair employment practices.
Yeah.
It was then publicized domestically as the Women's Day Off. I can't believe I didn't know about this. Like, I was like, yeah.
That's amazing.
Anyway, so I think people are trying to do something similar like this. Anyways, yeah. So if you're doing it, if you've heard about it, let us know. Yeah.
Yeah, and it reminds me of that message that came through about, taking the anger, the frustration, the rage,
Yeah, doing
and transmuting it into something, right?
Yeah.
Whatever that can be for you. You don't have to make a political stand if you don't want to, but just don't keep it inside. Just don't hold it in.
Do something.
Do something with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's funny because I couldn't help but giggle at one point because I like just flipped to the card like to open it, and I said the devil card, and this is my favorite. I landed on the devil card, so that's the devil.
I love it. a little hello, a little
right, little hey, I see you. Okay. I pulled the High Priestess.
Ooh, coming up a lot lately, and I like her.
Yes.
Yeah.
Literally also in my readings, and for me, like so hello, here's the High Priestess, okay? For me, the High Priestess is all about like trusting that your intuition. Yep. I love that she's coming out and talking about when we're talking about the moon phases, what they might mean, what they could represent, especially, talking about the full moon. We're talking about our psychic senses. We're talking about feeling the energy, right? Picking up on things. And the High Priestess is all that. She is the embodiment, I feel like, of intuition itself, all that stuff.
Wisdom. Yeah.
Wisdom. Whenever I see the High Priestess card too, she's always kind of like, I'm not telling you everything.
Yeah.
Because I want you to trust that inner knowing. Okay.
Yep.
And so in this deck, it says the High Priestess is a symbol of wisdom, you just said, and introspection. The moon and the sun held up by pillars illustrate how both clarity and mystery can support the same essential truths. While the magician makes use of the known world looking outward, the High Priestess turns inward. When the observable truth presents more obstacles than solutions, it may be appropriate to trust the things you know but cannot yet name. Trust your heart.
I love it. I don't know why, but when I look at those pillars, like when I first saw the card, I'm like, are those pillars? For whatever reason, pillars remind me of like balance and like also justice. I don't know why.
Yeah.
That's interesting because of the things that we're talking
about. The things that we're talking about. Yeah, exactly. I love that actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Balance and justice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The divine feminine is coming, girls. Like the tables are being turned. I feel this. I feel like
this, High Priestess is all like, divine feminine.
When I changed my business name, I want to say it's been a year and a half-ish now, a year. It used to just be like Medium Amy Brookes, and I felt like I want to change it to something that makes a statement and also stands for community, right?
Yeah.
The rising came because I've been feeling like, at the beginning of 2020, I did a collective reading and things came up like the foundation is shaking beneath us, like it's a rising, right? It's like a rebirth. It's Phoenix coming out of the ashes, and so rising to me the reason I picked rising is because I really see us kind of like all banding together, the intuitive,
Yes.
right? Which we
Yes.
all are. So it's not inclusive. It's like inclusive is what I mean. We all band together and we take that divine feminine power back. That's what the intuitive rising is all about. So I wanted to do that because I feel like it's almost like as I'm talking, spirit's kind of giving me clairaudiently, like, you know, when you hear like the stampede of horses coming, right? I hear it.
Yes.
It's coming. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. And I definitely am a firm believer that, you know, sometimes things have to get worse before they get better.
You know what I just heard because I'm hearing the horses coming in. I don't know why this stuff makes me cry. Sometimes the things I pick up from spirit just like hit and they make me want to cry.
That's how I feel like personally, for me, that's how I feel like I really know I'm with spirit is when I'm like getting emotional.
Yeah. Because I heard that, you know, because like the horses are coming, right? And I just hear like, nobody's coming to save us. It's time to save ourselves.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
The aliens aren't going to come down.
No.
Save us.
It's time to save ourselves. And it feels very like divine feminine. So this is not to say that it's just ladies, right? It's the divine feminine in men.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Ooh, I don't know why I'm getting emotional, but I am. So I pulled the first quarter moon in Leo, and the card says, be humble. Tension is in the air. Tension's in the air. You know that you can achieve your goals, which is half the battle. But this card suggests you need to be less show and more substance as you move slowly towards the goal. Well, that's calling us out, isn't it? Don't try to impress anybody. Avoid allowing your ego to overwhelm you. Don't opt for something merely because you think it will impress others. Practice grounding. In a spiritual situation, slow your spending. You can't make it up.
Are you flipping with me? What?
I don't know if you probably can't see it, but it's
what? Amy.
Insane.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It doesn't get much.
It doesn't,
every
right?
freaking time. Every time.
In a financial situation, slow your spending, right? This is how we take our power back. So it says manifesting mix. And then it says, this card holds a lot of power. You just need to challenge the heated energies in a wise way. What do we say? Transmute this energy in something else.
Literally like the whole episode.
Like this is how you know we're intuitives. Identify and clear any blocks. Step up to receive all the goodies that life has to offer. You have to want it, right? There's that thing like you got to save yourself. Like there's nobody coming, right? This is it's go time. It's time.
Yeah. You gotta walk on your own 2 feet now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so it says, tune into your manifesting powers. Your sacral chakra is located a little below your navel and is bright orange in color. This is the center of your sexual energy, and it helps you connect with the people around you and to express your creativity. So yeah, I feel like that's a nod to just like maybe not getting like to take this rage and not leaving it up here and not making it us react in a way that doesn't serve us in the long run, like getting really heated, to like just transmute it into like action.
Yes.
Yeah. And the financial thing just
that
just blows my mind. That blows my mind. That's a good one. So yeah, hope you guys are with us. No spend July.
No spend July.
So no new Oracle decks. Sorry, guys. You'll have to wait until August.
No new Oracle decks. Yeah. If you feel called to also stopping July 3rd to 5th.
Yeah. Yeah. Take some time off if you want. Whatever you got to do. Okay. Have a wonderful week. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
If you like what you're hearing, don't forget to give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcast and tune in each week as we dish on all things spiritual.
Don't forget to like, comment on what you would like to hear us talk about next, and subscribe.